So over the 5 years plus that I've been using psilocybin, I've pretty much decided to take the microdosing route. And I've really, to this point, never taken a heroic dose, 5 grams or more of psilocybin magic mushrooms. Now, I've taken larger doses, of course, but over these 5 years, I've found that consistently microdosing psilocybin has been the thing that's allowed me to achieve total peace in my life, understanding what my purpose is, understanding my life, appreciating my life every single day. And I really do attribute that to microdosing and not macrodosing. And I get many people that ask me, Dr. Dave, you're supposedly this expert on using psilocybin. Why don't you take heroic doses? And I always come back to the answer that I originally started microdosing psilocybin because I was experiencing quite a bit of depression and anxiety. And I didn't want to macrodose because I think that's cool, or I think that's going to be something that's a great experience. My only goal was to get rid of the anxiety and the depression. And I chose the microdosing route after careful evaluation and the realization that I think this is the thing that's going to get me to where I want to be. Now, am I against people that macrodose? Am I against people that do heroic doses? No. But I can share this with you. Over my 5 years plus of being in this space, I've met a lot of people. I've met a lot of people that microdose, and I've met a lot of people that macrodose and do large heroic doses. And what I'm going to share with you right now is not scientific proof. It's not a scientific study. It's anecdotal. It's what I've learned through my experience over 5+ years. And I will tell you this, many people may argue with me, but there are no scientific studies, there just aren't, that compare and will tell you that macrodosing is better than microdosing or vice versa. There are no scientific studies because of the legality of the medicine, because of the difficulty of obtaining, I guess, grants to be able to do these studies. They don't do them. And even somebody like, let's say an expert, I'll name Paul Stamets. Paul Stamets knows a lot more than I'll ever know and is much, much more experienced than I'll ever be. However, still, what he's teaching is mainly from his experience, what people share with him, what he's been through. There just are not the real scientific studies that bear this out. So you're going to have to, at some point, you're going to have to listen to somebody, whether it's Paul, whether it's me, whether it's somebody else. But I'm going to share with you my experience and why I think that microdosing for mental health is way more effective than macrodosing and heroic dose. First of all, I'll just share with you that I know a lot of people that have done a lot of heroic doses. And when I start talking to them and when I get to know them, I can clearly see that these heroic doses have not really gotten them to feel better. They may say they feel better, but I see these people a lot of times, and I'm not saying this in a bad way or a demeaning way or in a derogatory way, but some of these people are very screwed up. And what I'll tell you is just by taking a lot of large doses is not necessarily going to make you feeling better every single day. I promise you. Again, I've spoken to many people. I've worked with many people. I've had people in my Patreon group. They profess that, oh yeah, large doses are better, large doses are better. And I've had people that actually even came to live meetings, our live Patreon meetings, and they said they just did a heroic dose. But then when I got to know these people really well, they're not fixed. They're still struggling with a lot of things in their lives. So I will submit to you that macrodosing is not necessarily a panacea or not necessarily the answer. I want to share with you why I think microdosing is more so the answer than macrodosing. I'm going to give you 3 different examples. And the examples have nothing to do with mushrooms, but the examples are real life examples that I think you'll get to understand why my thinking is the way it is. Okay, the first one, we'll use running as an example. Now again, running has nothing to do with mushrooms. Running does not have anything to do with necessarily mental health therapy or anything like that. But let's just say there's a marathon runner. And this marathon runner he's in good shape, he or she's in good shape, but he or she, doesn't matter what gender they are, but they run, let's say 3 marathons a year. And so 3 times a year, they're like giving it their all. They're like going all out. It's crazy exercise. It's intense exercise. but 3 times a year. And let's just use this as an example. And the other parts of the year, the other times during the year, they're not doing much. But they're doing a really strenuous, incredible marathon 3 times a year. Now, contrast that with somebody who is a runner. They don't do really long distance, but every day or close to every day, they get out there and they run 2 miles every day, or 2 miles 5 times a week, all year long. Who do you think is going to benefit more from the running? Somebody that is consistently running a little bit, but every day? Or somebody 3 times a year runs a very difficult, intense marathon? If you had to guess, who would you say is benefiting more? I would say the person that gets out there every day and just does a couple miles, because all year long they're working their cardiovascular system, they're working their muscles, they're working even their mental energy. All year long they're doing this, but just a little bit every day, 2 miles every day. I would say that's healthier than running 3 marathons a year. Now, forget about the training part of the marathon. I'm just using this as an example. So 3 marathons per year, there's 3 intense exercise sessions versus every day, a couple miles, chugging along and not giving up, always doing it. Next example, somebody wants to be healthier and lose weight and eat the best foods possible. So you've got person number 1. They go on these crazy diets, and so for a week or 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, whatever, they're dieting like crazy and they're fasting and they're doing all things, and then they fall off the wagon and then they lose it. But maybe they start up again in a few months. So maybe a few times a year they're on this intense, crazy, strict diet. Okay, maybe it works for them, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. Contrast that with the person that every day doesn't do anything extreme, but just eats the right food. No processed foods, not a lot of sugar, just eats a lot of, let's say, just good food, good whole food every day, but nothing dramatic. Nothing to go on Facebook and brag about that, hey, today I had some chicken and a salad. No, there's nothing crazy about that. But every day they're eating the right food. Who would you say is healthier? Again, I would say to you that clearly in my mind, the person that's doing this every day, but nothing dramatic, is a lot healthier than the person that struggles, but then a few times a year they go on this wild, crazy diet. It's kind of similar. And you see the pattern now. One more example. There's somebody out there who wants to get wealthy. And so they start buying and trading stocks and making these big deals. And a lot of the times and they're buying some Bitcoin and buying and selling. And okay, that looks pretty cool. And maybe even some day trading, whatever. It looks sexy. It looks really cool. Like, I bought a bunch of stocks today. I did this. I sold this. I think I'm going to time the market, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Versus the person who is not doing anything that's getting any kind of attention. But all they do is put a portion of their paycheck into the S&P 500. Let's just make that up. S&P 500 every time they get a paycheck. And they just let it sit and accumulate and gather interest and grow. Again, nothing so interesting about that. As a matter of fact, it's boring. All they're doing is putting a little bit of money in every time they get a paycheck and leaving it there and letting it grow. Versus the person that, I'm trading this, I'm doing this, I'm timing this market. Who would you say is going to be wealthier in 40 years, in 30 years? Who's going to be wealthier? I would guarantee the person that's doing a little bit each time, but consistently over time, I will guarantee that person's going to be wealthier. So 3 examples: running, eating, investing. The pattern is the person who's doing a little bit at a time, but very consistently over time, always comes out to be the winner. Why wouldn't this be the same case with using psilocybin? A little bit, but every day. A little bit every day to your system, to me, works much better than the occasional heroic macrodose. I did this, oh wow. No. Okay, again, I've got nothing against macrodosing. And one day, maybe I'm going to do a heroic dose. I don't know. But I've done a lot of larger doses, but never anything over 5 grams, never anything like that. And I would say to you, my mental health I can't imagine that it would be improved any better if I would have taken any larger doses. I just can't imagine, because the microdosing consistency over time has changed my life. How could it be any better? I don't think it can be. Now, in a second, I want to share one more thing with you that's super, super important. And I think it's going to make every difference in the world, whether you are successful using psilocybin, magic mushrooms, LSD, whatever you're microdosing. I think it's going to make every difference in the world. And so I'm going to share this with you in just a second.
So I literally just had one of our Patreon members send an audio recording in to me. And I know I talk about Patreon a lot because it's just an incredible community that we have here at Microdose U. But better than me talking about it is what Holly just sent me via audio. I'm going to play it for you because I think you really need to hear this. So let me go ahead and I'll listen along right with you.
I just wanted to say that I love Microdose U. My name's Holly. I've been a member of Patreon now for 6-7+ months, somewhere around there. And I've been microdosing myself for about 2.5, almost 3 years. And I really like Dr. Dave's style. And on a whim, I thought, you know what? It's only $12.50 a month. So why don't I just give this a whirl and see what it has in store? Really, I didn't have any expectations going into this Patreon group, but after being in the group for really a short period of time, it's really transformed everything for me. It's helped so much in my life and just making connections with others. We do have the live meetings and just getting to know others who may be in a similar boat, and a lot of us are. It has been very transforming. When I had joined, I think subconsciously, I was looking for some sort of community or at least a group of folks to chat about microdosing and psilocybin and life and all of that. And that was one of the other missing pieces in my life. Now, I had mentioned to a few others, friends, maybe family about microdosing, but there was only a certain conversations we could have around that. And I really wasn't able to get into depth with friends and family about that. But with this group, it's another story, which is great. So we have a wonderful community, so much information, and even more than I had expected or even had hoped for. So I encourage you to look into it further. You never know what you don't know until you know, and just checking it out and seeing what it has to offer.
Holly, I want to thank you so much for your kind words. I'm truly humbled by what you said about our Patreon community there. And I'm going to recommend to anybody right now, listening or watching, now's your time. Now is truly the time to change your life. Don't wait another minute. The link is always in the show notes, and the link is always on my website, microdoseu.com. That's microdose with the letter U on the end of it, microdoseu.com, or right here in the show notes. Please join us because your life really will change. And that's not from me, that's from Holly.
Okay, so what I want to share with you is not only do I believe that microdosing consistently over time is your best bet to feel better with your mental health. There's no question in my mind. But something else I want to share with you. It's not so much the strain. It's not so much do you use 0.2 grams every day or 0.18 grams every day. Those things don't matter as much as the total consistency. Whether you're doing it 3 days on and 1 day off, or 4 days on and 2 days off, or 5 days on and 2 days off, that doesn't matter as much as staying consistent. I know so many people that I've worked with, they start to get a good result, and then for some reason they forget to microdose. And it's out of their mind, and then they stop microdosing, and then they revert back to the way they were. They're not feeling as well. And I say to them, as I'm working with them, I say, I don't understand, why did you stop microdosing? And they say life gets in the way, they forgot, they had to work, they had to do this. To me, that doesn't make any sense. Be consistent, stick with the program. I can never guarantee 100% because everybody's different, everybody's human, and the human body is strange, and things work differently with different people. But I can almost guarantee that if you remain consistent and don't get so hung up on the strain, and don't get so hung up on the exact dosage, and don't get so hung up on, oh my God, I need to take 1 day off. No, those things are not nearly as important as staying consistent. Just do it, and you're going to get your best result ever. I really hope to see you over in Patreon, We talk about this stuff and much, much more. And we have live meetings and we've got so much going on. And again, the link's always in the show notes. I've got a brand new episode that comes out every Wednesday. And Dr. Denise, my friend, colleague, and she's a doctor of psychology. She has her episodes that come out on the same channel every Sunday. Don't miss an episode. We're here to help you. And remember, we always offer one-on-one guidance if that's something you're looking for. Oh, and one more thing. You're valuable. You matter a lot to me. And you matter a lot to everyone here at Microdose U. I'll see you on the next episode.